Dear Patriots, before the news starts, please subscribe to our patriotic channel by clicking the subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up to this video. Don't forget to leave your opinion below in the comments section. Share the news on Facebook and Twitter so your friends see it. Thank you.
MSNBC's Joy Reid compares President Trump to famous segregationist George Wallace. MSNBC and the mainstream media has compared President Trump to Hitler, ISIS, North Korea, the Soviet Union, and more. They do it so much it has become very casual and expected for them. In a recent interview, MSNBC's Joy Reid compared President Trump to famous segregationist George Wallace without much explanation. "I think about George Wallace a lot when I think about Donald Trump. Is he comparable to Wallace or something different?" asked Joy Reid to her guest, Lawrence O'Donnell. The Wallace campaign was about hate in both directions. It was about Wallace expressing the hatred of the other side that his voters felt. Trump did exactly the same thing. You would see a protester at a Trump rally and, very quickly, Trump caught on to, "Oh, this is the good part of the rally. The part where I get to say, I want to punch him in the face." That was pure Wallace, said O'Donnell. O'Donnell is completely ignoring the fact that the average Democrat has far more hatred for the average Trump supporter than the average Trump supporter has towards a Democrat. Taken right out, not that Trump has the vaguest notion of history and that it had been done before. He had exactly the same sense of, kind of, vulgar showmanships that Wallace did, said O'Donnell. Judge Jeanine Pirro exposes why Trump supporters about to be in serious physical danger. The liberal hatred against President Trump and his supporters is getting more and more dangerous. But in a recent monologue, Pirro just explained why things are about to get much worse. "It's unlike anything I've seen in my lifetime." With conviction and an air of condescension, the left so hates Donald Trump and those who support him that they sanction the use of violence against them. "They are attempting to recast our legal system without authority to do so, without legislative sanction and without judicial intervention," said Pirro. To them, the use of physical and justified if they disagree with your politics. The very ones who call you fascist, and label themselves anti-fascist, or Antifa, are changing the rules, propagating a legal theory that is not only outrageously incorrect and affront to democracy, it's an outright attempt at anarchy, she said. "Many conservatives have experienced violence against them just for supporting our president." YouTube star Blair White recently tried a social experiment where she walked through Hollywood with a "Make America Great Again" hat on. A stranger stomped on her hand, another poured burning liquid on her right on camera. Are you sick of all the hatred against conservatives? Pro-Trump Roseanne predicts huge story that will break this week, lots of people about to become woke. It surprised many that former liberal Roseanne Barr ended up switching sides and becoming a strong supporter of populist outsider Republican Donald Trump. However, since Roseanne herself comes from the same working class that she depicted in his hit sitcom Roseanne, she clearly understands how alienated regular Americans became from Democrats and establishment Republicans. Roseanne has proved to be useful for Trump's cause by making use of her insider's knowledge of the leftist entertainment industry to counter their non-stop attacks against Trump and his agenda. She recently detailed over Twitter about how Trump is about to take serious action against innocent children who were exploited by Hollywood abusers. Wrote Roseanne, "Lots of PPL will become woke AF this week." She added, "Trump opposes child trafficking and knows exactly where the locos is. Not many PPL are brave enough to know, or remember or contain the information most blank out." She went on, "I perceived Hollywood's sexism to be so pervasive as to not even be noticed. It was class-based discrimination, with racial undertones based in anti-Semitic soto-spiritual necropaedoism. #This is now." Roseanne concluded, "All that really matters is that we stop the suffering of the world's innocent children. We can do it, BC. It's the right thing to do, and this is the age of Aquarius. G0D is with us now. Let's roll. Conservative side town hall backed up Roseanne's assertion, and stated, this should be one of the biggest stories in the national news. Instead, the mainstream media has barely, if at all, covered any of these mass pedophile arrests. This begs the question, why? They also said, there have been a staggering 1,500 plus arrests in one short month. Compare that to less than 400 sex trafficking related arrests in 2014, according to the FBI. It's been clear to me for a while that Trump would make human trafficking a top priority. Are you glad Trump is going to take a stand against this horrible abuse? Breaking: huge country star just declared support for gun control, he's getting destroyed. The massacres in Las Vegas and Sutherland Springs, Texas showed how far a person with severe mental illness can go to carry out hateful actions against innocent people. What these events also showed, however, is how resilient people are in the face of such evil. Instead of praising the gun owner who tracked down and stopped killer Devin Kelly in the Texas church shooting, Democrats have been using the tragedy as a cynical pretense to try and enact their pet gun restriction agenda. Unfortunately, they are getting support from major country stars. In a recent interview with Billboard magazine, hitmakers Tim McGraw and his wife Faith Hill both declared that they support gun control laws. Said Tim, "Look, I'm a bird hunter, I love to wing shoot. However, there is some common sense that's necessary when it comes to gun control. They want to make it about the Second Amendment every time it's brought up. It's not about the Second Amendment." He went on, "Military weapons should not be in the hands of civilians. It's everyone's responsibility, including the government and the National Rifle Association, to tell the truth. We all want a safe country." Hill echoed her husband, saying, in reference to the tragedy in Las Vegas, "We knew a lot of people there. The doctors that treated the wounded, they saw wounds like you'd see in war. That's not right. Military weapons should not be in the hands of civilians. It's everyone's responsibility, including the government and the National Rifle Association, to tell the truth. We all want a safe country." Shot back one internet commentator, "Tim needs to keep his opinions to himself. He nor Faith have the right to tell anyone how to provide safety for themselves, all the while walking around with armed security guards." Do you think these two entertainers have gone soft? Famous pastor just refused to condemn abortion, will you boycott him? If there's one issue that should be cut and try for Christian pastors, it is that life is sacred and that the killing of unborn children is immoral. However, one pastor decided to kiss up to liberals and went on ABC's The View and declined to denounce abortion when pressed on it by the show's left-wing hosts. Reverend Carl Lentz runs Hillsong Church in New York City and has many well-known people as followers, including pop singer and avowed Christian Justin Bieber. However, he buckled when The View's Joy Reid harassed him, "So, it's not a sin in your church to have an abortion?" He answered, "God's the judge. People have to live to their own convictions." He then claimed that pastors need to better understand people's backgrounds before they can say that something like abortion is a sin. He said, "That's the kind of conversation we would have, finding out your story, where you're from, what you believe." Lentz went on, "I mean, God's the judge. People have to live with their own convictions. That's such a broad question to me. I'm going higher. I want to sit with somebody and say, well, where do you believe?" Joy asked Carl point blank about abortion, "So, it's not an open and shut case with you?" Disgustingly, this so-called pastor doubled down on his looseness about abortion and claimed that he and others need to know your name before he begins picking and choosing what is a sin and what is now. After taking a lot of heat for his comments, Lentz claimed that he was just trying to broaden his audience. Do you think this pastor is a fraud and should be boycotted? breaking Dem representative just proudly declared, "I don't believe in God," says politics has too much religion. Democrats have been fretting recently about the fact that former Alabama Chief Justice and current Republican Senate candidate Roy Moore is so outspoken about his Christian faith and his trust in biblical laws. They clearly decided that they needed to make waves of their own. One Democratic representative from California named Jared Huffman just declared that he does not believe in God and, moreover, feels that somehow there is too much religion in American politics. Stated Huffman in an interview with the Washington Post, "I don't believe in religious tests, and I don't believe my religion is all that important to the people I represent. And I think there's too much religion in politics." He also tried to shame Republicans in Washington for being religious, saying, "I've seen religion wielded in such negative ways around here, lately. Trump does it all the time, so implausibly." Huffman stated that he is a humanist, declaring himself as such since he thinks it is not right to just take a pass on the question. He went on, "Because your religious views can speak to your moral and ethical framework on the world. And that is something I think the public is entitled to know." Describing his own beliefs, Huffman said he is a non-believer and added, "I suppose you could say I don't believe in God. The only reason I hesitate is, unlike some humanists, I'm not completely closing the door to spiritual possibilities. Is it disturbing we have such an extremist in Congress?